Let's think about this for a second. How did ancient Spartan warriors get those physiques that looked like they were carved out of granite? I mean, they didn't have barbells, they didn't have fancy machines, no commercial gyms. And yet, they had a kind of functional strength that, let's be honest, a lot of modern athletes would kill for. So, what was their secret? What did they know that maybe we've forgotten? Okay, let's dive into that, because the answer might just flip everything you think you know about building muscle on its head. So let me just throw this out there. What if those classic barbell lifts, the squat, the bench press, the ones everyone calls the gold standard, what if they aren't actually the best way to grow muscle? And what if, even worse, they're slowly but surely setting you up for a future of joint pain? Now I know, that's a bold claim, but stick with me because it's the key to understanding a much smarter way to train. And this really gets to the heart of what you could call the great gym myth. This idea that the only way to get bigger and stronger is to just keep piling more and more weight on the bar. But we have got to make a clear distinction between what feels like hard work and what is actually effective work. Because trust me, they are not always the same thing. All right, so let's get into the nitty-gritty. Why exactly might these revered barbell lifts be letting you down? We're going to look at the specific biomechanical problems with two of the most popular exercises you see in literally every single gym. First up, the heavy barbell back squat. I mean, just think about what's happening here. You're loading hundreds of pounds of weight directly onto your spine. And with every single repetition, you're just compressing those lumbar discs over and over again. You do that for years, well, that cumulative stress can lead to some really serious long-term damage. And you know what? It's pretty much the same story with the barbell bench press. When you lie down on that flat bench, your shoulder blades are basically pinned down. They're locked in place. This totally restricts their natural movement, and that can lead to that awful grinding feeling in your rotator cuff. It just puts the entire joint under stress in a really compromised position. A lot of longtime lifters have the shoulder pain to prove it. Okay, so if loading up heavy barbells isn't the be-all and end-all, then what is? Well, to figure that out, we need to dive into the actual science of how muscle grows. And this, right here, is the aha moment that explains why the body weight moves we're about to cover are just so incredibly powerful. So here's the crucial takeaway. The main driver of hypertrophy, that's just the fancy word for muscle growth, isn't just about how much weight you can lift. Not at all. It's about the quality of the tension on the muscle, especially when that tension is applied through a full range of motion. And most importantly, when the muscle is in a fully stretched or lengthened position. So how much of a difference does this really make? Well, it's pretty staggering. Some research is suggesting that training your muscles under load when they're fully stretched can trigger anywhere from 50 to 100% more muscle growth compared to training them in a shortened range. Think about that. It's not about lifting heavier, it's about stretching those muscle fibers under tension. That's the real secret sauce. And that is where these 6 superior bodyweight movements come in. These are the solution. They apply that principle of loaded stretching perfectly. They're safer, you can do them almost anywhere, and based on the actual science of hypertrophy, they are potentially way more effective for building real, usable, functional muscle. First on the list, you probably knew this was coming, the king of all vertical pulling exercises, the pull-up. And this is so much more than just a back exercise. It's a full-on test of your entire upper body strength that a machine like the lat pull-down just can't even begin to replicate. So what makes the pull-up the champ? Well, it forces your lats, your back, your biceps, your core, everything to work together to pull your whole body through space. There's zero spinal loading, and all those little stabilizer muscles have to fire like crazy. Now, if you want to get the most out of it, aim to get your chest all the way to the bar, and then control the way down for a slow 5-second counts. Oh, and if you can't do one yet, no problem. Start with just hanging from the bar, and then work on slow negatives. You'll get there. Okay, so pull-ups have our vertical pulling covered. But to build a really balanced, healthy back, we need a horizontal pull. And that's where the inverted row shines. This is an absolutely essential move for fixing your posture and building that back thickness, all without the crazy risks that come with something like a barbell row. Let's be real, most of us do way too much pushing, bench press, push-ups, and not nearly enough pulling. That's what leads to those rounded, hunched-over shoulders. The inverted row is the antidote. It strengthens those mid-back muscles that pull your shoulders back into a healthy, strong position. And you get all that good stuff with zero spinal compression. Now compare that to the bent-over barbell row, where just one sloppy rep can put a ton of stress right on your lower back. For these, just keep your body straight as a board and really squeeze those shoulder blades at the top. All right, let's talk about pushing. For my money, dips are arguably the single most effective upper body press you can possibly do. In fact, some studies have even found that dips can activate the triceps just as much or even more than the close grip bench press, which is supposed to be the go-to for big arms. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Aren't dips dangerous for your shoulders? Well, they get a bad rap, but it's almost always because of bad form. The second your shoulders start to shrug up towards your ears, that's when you're asking for trouble. The secret, the absolute key, is to keep your shoulder blades pulled down and back through the entire rep. You do them right, and you're building serious chest, shoulder, and tricep mass by moving your entire body weight through space. That's true functional strength. We all love a good push-up, but let's be honest, at some point they get a little easy. The answer isn't just to do a million reps, it's to change the angle. By putting your feet up on a bench or a box, you completely transform the push-up into a serious upper chest and shoulder builder. And here's where we circle right back to that main principle of hypertrophy. Elevating your feet lets you go way deeper, creating this incredible stretch in your chest muscles at the bottom of the rep. And where does the science say the most growth happens? Right there, in that stretched position. On top of that, unlike a bench press, your shoulder blades can move freely and naturally, which is so much healthier for your rotator cuffs in the long run. All right, time to talk about legs. If you want to build some serious quads and glutes without crushing your spine under a heavy barbell, this right here is your new best friend. The Bulgarian split squat is, hands down, the best replacement for the barbell back squat. And believe it or not, the science actually backs this up. Research shows that training one leg at a time can give you an equal or sometimes even better muscle building kick than two-legged movements like the squat. With this, you're loading each leg all by itself through a massive range of motion. It finds all your little weaknesses and fixes them, all while your spine is completely safe and unloaded. It's all of the reward with none of the risk. And for our final move, we have to target the posterior chain. You know, all those powerful muscles on the back of your body, your hamstrings, your glutes, your lower back. The single leg RDL is the ultimate tool for developing this crucial muscle group, building real athletic power and making you more resilient. So why is this so much better than a conventional deadlift? Well, first off, by working one leg at a time, you immediately correct any strength imbalances you might have. Second, the balance challenge forces your core and all those little stabilizer muscles to work overtime. And most importantly, you develop your entire posterior chain through a deep stretch under tension with absolutely zero downward pressure on your spine. It builds that functional strength without the immense joint stress. So there you have it. Those are the 6 movements, but what do you actually do with them? Let's put it all together into a simple, actionable blueprint that you can start using today to build a stronger, more resilient body. Okay, rule number 1, and this is non-negotiable. Master the movement first. Get the form perfect. The movement is the magic. Once you've got that down, aim to train these exercises 2 or 3 times a week. And the goal is always one thing: progressive overload. That just means consistently trying to add one more rep or a little bit of resistance over time. This is how you build real, sustainable muscle, not joint damage. And all this really boils down to one final, crucial question I want you to ask yourself. After everything we've talked about, just take a second and be honest with your own training. Are you building real, functional, long-lasting muscle, or are you just wearing down your joints for the sake of putting a bigger number on the bar? The choice really is yours.